Hello, my boils, my ghouls, and my zools. Welcome back to Kalashnikovs. So, I like to put out a positive atmosphere around this channel. I like to, just be nice. But, there are parts of the gun industry that are not very nice sometimes, and, you know, I'm not talking about, when your warranty claim gets denied over some bullshit or something like that. I'm talking about the fact that, we have a lot of people in this industry, like a lot of companies, that are pretty okay with lying to you. So I think we should just talk about that today. And I don't really have a format to this. You can liken this to just straight talking shit. But, it's some shit that I feel needs to be talked. And, a bit of this is, in reference to, everybody's excited about a upcoming video from my cohort who has dealings with one of these companies. So, a lot of people the other day were saying RIP K USA. RIP K USA. Now, me, personally, I wasn't really on that trip. And, there's a couple reasons why. And really, it comes down to the fact that the gun industry lies to you. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Now, I don't really want to start this at the top with KUSA, but I'm talking about KUSA. So, they can do this in a variety of ways. So, a big one of those, on the lighter end of things, you might see companies that will vaguely say parts are made out of aircraft aluminum. And, while that may be true, it's not entirely being forthcoming. Because, let's take, for example, Foxtrot Mike. They'll say their lowers are made out of aircraft aluminum. A AR lower is typically, traditionally 70-75. Those are not 70-75. They are technically aircraft aluminum, yes, but it's not the same thing as every other AR. Why are they costing so much? So, I don't like stuff like that personally, It's like, just say it's 60-61, it's fine, whatever it may be, that's fine. You'll see stuff like, say, Pioneer Arms. They will say that their cast trunnions are using the same process that aerospace is using to cast, things, blah, blah, blah. And likely that's MIM. I can't speak for them. I don't actually know that, but it's, these like technical, it's technically true thing. It's not being forthcoming. That to me is not truth. So that's just some stuff I don't like. Now, how do they outright lie to you? Very often these companies will, say stuff like, support the Second Amendment. Quite often these companies are donating to anti-gun politicians, anti-gun crusades and stuff like that. Oftentimes just blindly, donating to Republican candidates. Republican candidates are just as anti-gun as Democratic candidates. So let's get out of here. You have about as many good ones on that side as you do like on the other side. It's, you had plenty of opportunities in the past year with your Republican leaders to see overwhelming changes in the gun industry, in the gun laws. You haven't seen any of this. The only thing that it's come down to was, packing a court full of, extremists. So, have they done some friendly things for gun owners? Sure, absolutely. Have they done the greatest thing for, say, the country? No. I'm not talking about, not great as in the gun laws. They make other decisions other than gun laws. It's the goddamn Supreme Court. So let's take, Trump's executive rule on the bump stocks. Think about the majority of people interested in this case now know that that executive order gave the ATF great license to do things, that Biden used it to his great advantage. Fuck, I hate talking about anything political on this channel, but it is relevant. You had Palmetto State Armory putting out, the Trump 45s and, Trump, 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 Trump. Well, a motherfucker did gun control. Me, I'm a hardliner. You do gun control, you're fucking dead to me. So, yeah, we've had that out of Biden. We had that out of Trump. We didn't have any of that out of Obama, except for the sanctions, which wasn't specifically, gun legislation. That was related to, Russia doing a soft invasion into Ukraine and trying to upset their fucking politics, which, a lot of that leads into things like Nord Stream and stuff like that, and reasons why they wanted to protect Ukraine in the initial opening days of the soft invasion after the Maidan Revolution. So you had that. You had some gun legislation under Bush. You had some gun legislation under Clinton, obviously. Who signed the assault weapons ban? That would have been quite a bit of Republicans. So being that, Republicans only kind of publicly picked up this, pro 2A stance around the time of Obama coming in, obviously Bush wasn't exactly going to be like, here's your fucking suppressors, here's your fucking machine guns, like this was prior to the Republican Party largely adopting a pro 2A rhetoric. But the rhetoric hasn't exactly played out. So, the companies that are massively supporting these, politicians under the guise of being pro 2A, that's a fucking lie. That's a fucking lie, and they know it. If you ask me, if these companies were that pro 2A, instead of donating thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to these candidates, why aren't they sitting down with these legislators? Why aren't they going to the table with them to actually hash things out? This is how diplomacy works. It doesn't happen through giving some fucking dick money that ain't gonna do nothing for you. It happens with the conversation. This isn't a revolutionary company, or a country. We're not gonna take our weapons and take back our means of production. It's like, let's get out of here. We're not gonna take the gun laws back for ourselves. It's not gonna happen. Most gun owners don't even use their guns very much. So I look at things like that as an outright lie. When you're saying, buy this, blah, 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 support 2A and all that, what is supporting 2A? Just giving money to some dick that's going to eventually pass some gun legislation? Nah, that's not pro 2A to me. Other ways they will lie to you. You will see Made in USA, and that's very relevant to KUSA. Quite often you will see these companies saying they're made in USA, made in USA. Now let's say you buy a Bulgarian 74. Let's say you buy an AIM 74 kit, and you want Michigan Kinetics or SOF Defense or someone like that to build your rifle out for you. After it's built, I don't know anybody that says they have an American rifle after that, when it's made from all these Bulgarian parts, they just say they have a Bulgarian that was assembled here. So why is something like that relevant to these, how the gun industry will lie to you thing? Well, KUSA, they proudly proclaimed for many, many years, Made in USA, American Kalashnikov was what they were originally proposed to be called, and Kalashnikov USA, you can say that's a number of things, but it's definitely not an American Kalashnikov if you put it in those terms of, like, say, parts kits, because if you ask me, these were nothing more than parts kits. Where am I going with that? So, these parts were, sorry, low battery. These parts were made in India. They're made by a company called Indomim. There was also the polymer comes from Turkey. Do you call that an American rifle? Do you call that an American Kalashnikov? I mean, I call it an American assembled Kalashnikov. Yeah, they got some Green Mountain barrels here and there, but also, let's be real, we know they're under investigation and have been under investigation for sanctions breaking. So, there might be some other things. I took a little look-see, and there is some things going on with that. So, I don't know where that's going to go. Obviously, we don't have like hard evidence of them breaking any sanctions or anything like that, but we do know that they were saying made in USA while using a rifle full of Indian MIM parts and Turkish polymer. So, why is that, an outright lie? Because that's not made in USA. If you really want an authentic Kalashnikov, maybe that's about as close as they were saying is the truth, because, Kalashnikov concern does have guns made in India. And I believe it's, what is it, the AK-203, something like that? I don't remember off the top of my head. I am shooting from the hip here. So, one thing that is definitely relevant to how the gun industry lies to you, this is not just a goddamn American thing. Kalashnikov concerned guns since 2015 have been 100% metal injection molding. That's MIM. Just like your KUSA. Were 100% of KUSA's parts MIM? No. They did have some forged trunnions, and they did, obviously have Turkish parts that, obviously the entire thing's not MIM, but you do have like nearly completely metal guns except for grips and, stocks coming out of KUSA, namely an AK-12. That's all MIM. It's all metal injection molding. So those $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 AK-12 kits that people are building out into AK-12s and AK-19s, the reason they're having such trouble with them is because it's a low quality gun. I do know of some people trying to still get Kalashnikov concerned AKs into the country. I don't know why you'd want to do that. You can build a better rifle technically out of some fucking palmetto parts if you just make sure they're in spec. You got to make sure they're in spec if you're going to do that. But is MIM a bad process? No, it has its applications. It actually has some great applications. Can you make some good gun parts out of it? Actually, yeah. Should you be making, the entire gun? Nah, probably not. It does definitely pose some engineering problems. So, and also when people are building them out here in America, you're getting more Bulgarian parts in there quite a bit. A lot of people are building these out with Bulgarian 74 parts. Saw one, an AK-19 that was assembled with even some Beryl parts actually in there. So, yeah, you can actually get technically like a better rifle assembled here in America out of one of those kits. But then you have to also worry about, these good parts interacting with these shit parts, and then you call what's called tolerance stacking. So, there are builders that can make this work. There are, but that's why they're expensive to build out. So, going on to mentioning the Beryl, now, WBP, I wouldn't say they're lying. They don't make any claims of 100% made in Poland or anything like that, but one thing a lot of people do not know about that is those parts are made in Korea. So, is that a problem? No. You can go to China, Korea, Taiwan, wherever. If they're running CNC operations, and as long as your QC is okay and your your files, your CNC files that you give them, whatever format you may end up giving them, as long as those are solid and actually engineered properly in your model, you're not going to have too many issues, really. I mean, issues will always arise, but you're not going to have too many issues. So, there are a lot of people buying WBPs, and WBP does make some parts for FB Ratum. So, is a barrel full of Korean parts? Tell you the truth, I don't know. That would be completely speculative. But does WBP have parts manufactured in Korea? Yeah, quite a bit. Quite a bit. Who also does this? SIG. Yeah, SIG does have things manufactured in Korea. Quite a bit. It's not, I guess, an outright lie until they say made in USA. But that's one thing I will give credit to WBP for. They are pulling out good rifles. Their process seems to be pretty solid. They seem to have done the work. But you can't say that for everybody. And in that case, I would definitely say something like that about KUSA. It's just what the gun industry does. These people that own these companies, they don't care about the Second Amendment. They don't care about your hobbies. They don't care about your gun ownership rights. They don't care about your gun ownership enjoyment or anything like that. They care about money. That's it. Motherfucking money. And that's not even just limited to gun manufacturers, I mean, so you take CAA, for example, making the micro Ronnie. A lot of people heard CAA was taking over KUSA. Head of CAA was one of their VPs. It's just a goddamn swindle. It's a bankruptcy swindle. All those guys walked away rich as fuck. Make no mistake about it. It's called the golden parachute. So, these guys golden parachute out, and I mean, what are these other ways outside of, they make the micro Ronnie, a bunch of plastic parts, Israeli shit. So, that's definitely related to a non-gun manufacturer lying to you, because CAA is a fucking scumbag company. That could be a whole other thing on its own. But moving on, I mean, you can see me wearing some relevant shit here. I mean, I've even been lied to at matches. One year at this particular Red October, this exact one, they had actually charged us, the entry fee was an extra $100. They claimed that's because the stages that year were going to be very heavy on stage guns, and they needed, some extra revenue for ammo. So you think, oh shit, I might be shooting some 8mm Kurtz, probably a bunch of 54R, shit like that. What are they pulling out for this one? Because they have had some really cool stage guns a couple times, shit, they had a stage with the bloop tube. That was fucking cool. But when we showed up and did the match, number one, you shot 6 rounds out of stage guns. That's it. 6. And what were these rounds? So first, I show up to the fucking stage, and it's a Foxtrot Mike sponsored stage, and you shot 5 rounds of 223, I believe it was. Might have been 7.62 by 3.9. I don't know. It was out of a fucking piece of junk gun. I really don't remember, and you could go back to my video from that Red October and see. But yeah, you shot 5 rounds out of that, dropped the gun, and grabbed your own. Later in the day, there was a video that did go around on TikTok quite a bit of me doing a Russian roulette and going yeehaw at a target. That was the other round. A single round of 38. So they charged us $100 for 5 rounds of 223 and a round of 38. Saying it was gonna be stage gun heavy, and they needed this extra revenue for fucking stage ammo. And, was this any better of a Red October? Actually, no. They fucking tossed out 2 stages during the weekend, and I didn't even get to do one of them. And then the other one, the ROs fucked up, and they had to goddamn erase all the scores for it. So that was some bullshit. So, yeah, there were some outright lies there. Just outright lies. And I wasn't pleased with that. So, personally, I'm not that, like, without some kind of explanation or, them even saying anything, because they didn't say nothing about this. They just rolled with it without saying nothing ever about that. Like, I'm not really all that comfortable going back to Vegas and fucking Boulder City and fucking doing that one. Still go to Cold War. I still haven't done that one. That's over at Rio Salado, and that's a damn good range and lots of damn good shooters that are real smart and, well, not just smart in competition, smart with competition and setting them up, like, those guys are good. So, I want to check that out. I think that could be a good one, we'll see. I'm still going to, give it a try. It's coming up pretty fast right now, so probably going to have to be next year if it happens. Because it seems like with the Red October name, you kind of have to go, is it going to happen? Because they've canceled it a bunch of times too, so... whatever. And is this the extent the gun industry lies to you? Man, no. Shit, dude. I've seen a couple of those Turkish 2011s where they don't even fucking mention Turkey. The fuck, dude? You need to mention things like that. A lot of people understand that EAA brings in a lot of Italian and Turkish guns, so that's kind of like given, I guess, at this point, it's fucking European armory, so like you kind of get the idea that they, like their guns are not made in the USA, but I've literally seen companies, without naming names, because, yeah, they actively do follow me, saying like, yeah, blah, 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 shoot the American tradition and all that, never once mentioning that it is goddamn Turkish. And these things got some like clapped out fucking barrels and fucking optics cuts that are all fucked up and, just all sorts of cycling problems and shit like that. Is that 100% of them? No, actually. I have actually shot one of those Tisas now. And, I actually preferred it to a staccato frankly, and that was just down to the recoil spring that was in it. It didn't feel like you could do a Chuck Norris reload on the fucker, which, I don't think is the greatest when you're shooting pistol, because it causes a lot of reliability issues, man. These people with these fucking crazy light racking slides, they have a lot of goddamn issues with their guns. Especially when they start compensating them too, or porting them, it's like, Jesus Christ, It's like my last video, just get a fucking Glock and roll with it, bro. It's a goddamn pistol. You don't have to fucking do everything in the world to it to make it go bang, because the motherfucker's still gonna recoil. You can't fight the recoil with a pistol. It's apparent. You just have to learn to roll with it. So, in summation, this is kind of just a quick, almost shit talking episode, but that doesn't even cover the scope of this shit. You'll see all the time, let's take PSA again for example. They'll go to SHOT Show, show off some fucking crazy ass fucking thing, and that's really only just to generate some talk so they can sell a fucking dagger, or so they can sell a fucking saber or something like that, sell a jackal. Dude, I was wondering if that jackal was ever going to come out, because when they first posted that first video of it in the white and everything, and they were shooting it, that gun looked cool as fuck. It still looks cool as fuck to me. The little guy looks way cool, dude. And from what I understand, they do work a bit better these days, but man, they're still having a couple issues here and there with them. I personally am not on the train of even checking them out, even though I did think they were kind of neat, if I came across one that was a good deal, sure, but, like we got the Vuk everybody's excited about. That's a Rock and Lock jackal that kind of looks like an AKV 521, not exactly, but it's closest you actually have here in the US. And I'll pick one of those up to evaluate, because frankly, it's a lot of people call the jackal the poor man's scar, which I guess it kind of is, and I mean, shit, I've been saying for years, fuck, I would love one of them 5.56 scars with Rock and Lock, dude. That shit would be dope. And that's kind of what they have here. So I kind of want to check it out because that's like the gun that I wish has existed this entire time. But, it's not exact. I wish we did have AKV 521s in this country. That would be cool. Except for the fact that, a real one's going to be all mim and shit. So, we could build a better AKV 521 here. I wish, some manufacturer would hop on that. Honestly, you kind of don't have a dissimilar thing going on with, except for the action when it comes to an M&M M10X. So, it's like you had one of those in 5.56, it would almost be, especially if you put a traditional AK operating system in there, it would kind of be an AKV 521. So, I'm not like down and out on everything, every fucking time they lie to me. I almost feel like that would be petty, and not looking at it from a objective standpoint. But you got to be aware they lie to you, and you got to be looking for these lies sometimes. It makes you feel a bit almost like a conspiracy theorist looking through this info when a new gun comes out. But shit. If you ask me, that's just the way it is, because there are people still to this day that will blindly just buy a 5.56 PSA. And, I haven't seen just M26 lemon grenades coverage on that. I have friends that have bought those things and had those exact same problems. I have seen the AKM bolts myself. I've seen the broken firing pins. I have seen the fucking out of spec sight blocks. So yeah, you definitely got to look for things. And when they say that's an AK-74, no, that's fucking not an AK-74. Excuse me, an AK-101. Pardon me. AK-101. That's not an AK-101. It's got a motherfucking AKM bolt, bro. That's not a crink. A crink is very specifically a Russian or Bulgarian surplus AKS-74U. Very properly, even Arsenal owners will say that what they own is not a crink. They will just call it what it is. They'll say like, oh, I have a crink. It's an Arsenal, but that's why you'll hear people say something like that every now and again, because it very specifically refers to a surplus crink. So these things they're calling crinks with their AKM bolts in 5.56 with the just jacked up fucking tolerances and a proprietary receiver, that is not a crink. That's just hijacking a name, co-opting a name. It's just trying to sell. They should have just called it a fucking cronker or something like that. I don't know. What is people call the 5.56 crinks, Because, that's not an official thing or anything. Neither is crank, but, we have a colloquial understanding of what that means most of the time, It's not just a 8.3 to 9.1 inch barrel AK. That's not the end of the story. It's in 5.45. That's not the end of the story, But a lot of people don't even seem to care about the caliber, because you'll see people calling a, their fucking 9-inch 7.62s a crink. They'll call it a 7.62 crink, and it's like, man, not really. That's an Arsenal, bro. Close as you could get to calling it that, I will give you that, but it's just being a nerd. It's just being a nerd. Words mean things. So I don't want this to drag on. I'm not trying to talk shit on the entire fucking industry or people's feelings. It's, I just feel like we're at a point where we need a little bit of truth, because the AK industry is a mess. KUSA is now dead. Riley is making some pretty decent fucking guns at the moment, They're not 100%, but they're fucking great, dude, I don't think any company's 100%, To tell you the truth, I'd love to have a further conversation with one of those guys, because I was told they're doing their own forgings and whatnot, but that is speculatory until I actually get confirmation on that. So hey, maybe we could do a live with one of them or something like that. Riley, I know a couple of you guys watched this, so hey, if you'd like to hop on a live and maybe discuss a little manufacturing and, see why I am so interested personally outside of the reviews and just general talking about these guns I have, let's do it, man. That would be cool. I think people do need to know that there is some people that are really rooting for AKs in the US and trying to do something good, So, the problem with that is why I think truth is so important is that we got some people that are trying to do some bad, and we need to be aware of that. So, boils, ghouls, and zools, if you're looking for guns and you're reading through all that promotional information, get your tinfoil hat on. Take a look. Start digging. Don't just blindly purchase things. Never take these words for face value. You can't. You just can't. Excuse you. So boils, ghouls, and zools, stay safe, have fun, do stupid.